Scions, Nephilim, Asura, Good Omens, Angels, Touched by and City of, Autonomous Sensory Medium Response. Well, let's talk about Aasimar. According to Chistopher Perkins, it's pronounced Aasimar. Aasimar? Aasimar. Let's stick with Aasimar. It's all derived from Aasimar, which is just D&D terminology for angels. So maybe we should call them angelites? Anglers? Angelians. Acute angles. Either way, they're a specific type of celestial outsider like tieflings, but only kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. On the surface, Aasimar. Aasimar. On the surface, Aasimar are kind of bland. Their celestial ancestry manifesting in minor physical qualities that, while less dramatic than tieflings or Gensai, still leave them to either be revered or reviled by their peers. At this level, if you choose to play them that way, you'll have a really time.
What?
Great. At this level, if you choose to play them that way, you'll probably have a pretty good time. They fit really well into the priestly figures or the spurned outcast. These gifts make them stand out, but kind of leaves the player a lot of flexibility to decide how those gifts affect their backgrounds, or at least their current interactions with the world at large. These gifts can be anything from literal golden hair to unbelievable beauty. Both can be a blessing or a curse. This is another really cool way of creating bonuses and drawbacks for your characters, as well as interesting ways to challenge your players as a DM in ways that they may not expect. I can't do it. All right. When you're playing a Minotaur, Manbull, different video, or a Goblin, people have the stigma behind their monstrous natures, and I think a lot of people kind of already expect that. But when the townspeople decide to capture you and sell you for your silver stash, or steal your bronze beard, or your golden locks, or your pewter, moving on, your players may not know how to respond, or at least be prepared for that kind of attention. Did I mention that they're usually good aligned? Their benevolent nature is legendary, and stories of the plain-touched helping people really lends to them being good aligned, except when they're not, and they don't help people. Let's talk more about their demi-human form. Demi-human? Semi-human? Let's go with semi-human form, which lends them to having some outstanding physical trait that usually can't be hidden. Stat-wise, you get bonuses to charisma, which makes sense for the sexy angel nature of the boon, whether it's beautiful or terrifying. You get to live a bit longer than most humans. You're normal size, normal speed. Oh, and you get dark vision, which is cool, because that's, unique and helpful. Dark vision is boring, but we'll get back to that later. You get access to healing hands. You can go ahead and Delarice one of your teammates once per long rest and give them hit points equal to your level, which that's fun. That's a pretty cool little bonus. I'd probably allow for a corrupted version of the Divine Touch to grant necrotic damage if you choose to go that route. I think linking their alignments to their healing hands as well as their light bearer feature makes them a little more customizable, especially when you use the Fallen archetype. 5th edition lets them cast light as a cantrip, but I don't see why you couldn't do that as darkness as well. And if you go back in time a little bit, older versions of D&D as well as Pathfinder grant you limited uses of daylight, which could be really cool. Maybe a little less useful than the light spell, but if you really want to get your glam on with a singular boost of blinding light, that'd be a little more effective than just the cantrip, especially if you choose to go the route of the halo instead of casting light, because that creates an additional feature as well as a drawback for the character. And it also fixes a little bit of the laziness that is dark vision for everybody. Moving on. Finally, you get celestial resistances, which is actually pretty neat. You get resistance to necrotic and radiant damage, which is pretty rare for player characters right out the gate, but that doesn't mean that you can't expand upon it. Older versions of D&D as well as Pathfinder look at the Aasimar as plain-touched or outsider scions. The resistances made them more protected from the arcane schools, and I kind of like that idea as being an outsider giving you some protection from the forces of the non-material planes. I think it could be a really nice way to customize your character. 5th edition really leans into that divine and necrotic angle, giving you resistances to both, but I feel it's kind of an overarching thing instead of being based on the alignment of the character. The allied alignment, native alignment, defined charge, positive or negative. Are Aasimar just D&D electrons? Does having an Aasimar in your party change the net charge, the polarity of your group? Either way, unless you really love having a static charge, I'd love to see the use of other outsiders as their ancestral lines, as their ancestral progenitors. Is that the right word? Progenitors? Maybe some of them are more arcane in nature. You could even use the same features from the Protector, Scourge, or Fallen archetypes, but slap some fire in there instead of the aforementioned Quark states. Sticking with 5th edition, there are some really cool variants that can start adding some much needed flavor and spices to these overall unsalted character bites. forgot to eat lunch again. But let's talk about those a little bit. The Protector is pretty awesome because you get a wisdom bonus as well as allowing you to sprout wings for a minute and start blasting people with radiant energy. I mean, why not just have the wings all the time? That might push them a little closer to the tieflings again, but then again, that's not really a bad thing. The Scourge, Aasimar are really fun because they get a constitution bonus, and I think it's a great opportunity to add some arcane flavor. Once per day, you basically get to explode into light, and you get to burn yourself and everyone around you with your heavenly oven of hot-crossed holy goodness. I love this type of divine overkill, and I think it's a really unique ability that can get kind of fiddled with and adjusted to any type of outsider, aside from the simple celestial seasoning. Jesus, what the hell am I trying to do with this? All right, finally you have the Fallen Aasimar, which for every Viking-loving, Dark Angel-obsessed barbarian out there, you get a sweet boon to your strength, and you get an aura of fear, as well as some skeletal wings that do necrotic damage. That's pretty badass. I mean, maybe just leave that where it is. Otherwise, you'll have people running around with sentient weapons trying to control the damned as an impromptu Lich King. Wait. Can we cross the boundaries of the races? Can you do like a Dragonborn Aasimar? A Dragomar? An Asaborn? An Ass-Dragon? Don't look that up. On the other end, oh, that was a bad segue. There's a lot of outsiders from Aeons to Elementals, and I think that the spirit of the Aasimar is that the Aasimar, is that they really are divinity-based. Much like angels and planetars. The pantheon of Dungeons & Dragons has always been massive and dynamic, so there's a lot of room to get creative with those characters. Let's talk about Halos. Sweet, juicy, seedless, easy to peel. Wait, no, it's the oranges. Lunch. Gotta remember lunch. The Halo is one of my favorite traits from the Pathfinder Advanced Race Guide. As for 5th edition, it's available as a cosmetic choice, but I could really see it replacing the light cantrip and becoming its own unique thing. I really like the idea that you have this halo that you have permanently affixed to your head that becomes a light source, but I also really like the idea that you can't hide it. It's another example of forcing a player to be creative and find unique ways to play. Some would say that, oh, just put a hat on it, and I would say, halos go through hats. Go to a church, find a stained glass window. But I put a hat on it. Jump and Jesus on a pogo stick. It's not a bad haircut. It's an extraplanar collection of light. Collection? Blah, blah, blah. If you go back the way to the old school D&D and Path, you'll also have access to things that are more similar to other outsiders like holy blood, holy skin. You deal damage to undead creatures if they touch you, or they try to drink your blood, or they try to drain your energy. Body parts made out of metal or even light and darkness. You've got some pretty sweet Jedi Sith goals going on there. Or, a glowing dong if you really want to rock that sexy bard trope. Quick, I need a glowing dong joke. Just get out there and crack those glow sticks and get... Oh, no, that was bad. We're just going to move on from that. Overall, I think Aasimar... Damn it. Overall, I think the Aasimar are a really good way to get out there and build a fun background. But there's definitely a lot of flexibility in choosing what you bring to the church bake sale. If you're looking for a cool example of Aasimar variations, as always, check with Critical Role, Yasha, and Rainy. There are variations on the 5th edition Aasimar, both of them showing that you don't have to stay strictly to the paladin or cleric stereotypes, but build them really any way you want. So while Aasimars seem somewhat bland on paper, the inclusion of their backstories and features really allow them to be something unique and polarizing to any party. As always, if you have a cool Aasimar story, or a fun way to pronounce it, or some awesome outsider that you can use for your Aasimar lineage, let us know down in the comments below. We're building a really fun community here and on Discord, as well as on Facebook and in Patreon. Feel free to join us there. If you're interested in the artwork, check out the Art Station or join the Patreon and get access to all of our artwork for your personal character sheets, as well as custom tokens for digital play. As always, remember to keep your dice on the table. Now I can't stop thinking about brownies. When was the last time I went to a bake sale? Do they still do those? Or are people still trying to hide special ingredients in their baked goods? Hey, no judgment. Do what you want. Maybe just don't get your clergy baked out of their minds. At least not without asking first. Hey, they could be into it. You don't know. It's a good conversation starter. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. You spice? Spice?